Everybody good?
Yes.
Was it an exclamation point in there? Call to order, Dayton Public School Board. Roll call.
President Bailey,
Here.
Mr. Lacy,
Here.
Ms. Garrison,
Present.
Dr. Goodwin,
Here.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Present.
Mr. Smith,
Here.
Mr. Walker,
Present.
7 present.
Pledge of allegiance. Mission, vision, and purpose. Our mission is to inspire, educate, and empower. Her vision is to inspire, educate, and empower scholars for a lasting impact. Our purpose is to cultivate a supportive and engaging educational experience. New business.
Yes, 1 second. Okay, so all right, good afternoon, everyone. Before you right now is changes to how we do our agenda for professional staff hiring. This came from our last meeting on the 2 individuals that were board recommendations. So after that point, multiple of us reached out to our legal team, and this policy is a result that would allow each employee to do what their statutory duty is, the superintendent for his recommendations, the treasurer for her recommendations, with the business manager for his recommendations, and our internal auditor for recommendations for hiring. This is very specific for recommendations of hiring. So with that, it's being brought for first and second reading today because it will go into effect immediately at our next meeting, which would allow them to bring their recommendations forward based off of what they can legally do under ORC. And it did go through legal. Legal did send you all an email with it, so if you had questions, you should have reached out to them at this point. So, in so much as the Board of Education is committed to the continuing updating of its policies, rules, and regulations, this has been brought at this time for simultaneous first and second reading. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dayton City School District, Montgomery County, Ohio, hereby accepts and adopts the following policies, which have been codified for inclusion in the handbook, policy, rule, and regulations: GCA, professional staff positions; GCA, Regulation 1, Board Authority Matrix for personnel actions; and GCA-R2, plain language guidance for board members. I move that we adopt these policies.
Second.
Any questions or anything?
Yeah, I had some clarifications that, from what I had reviewed. I know under the business manager, it said non-DSS, and I just wanted to ensure that, I'm assuming, I know that's direct support, that his organization's org structure does include those types of positions. So he'll be able to still present those.
According to our attorney, he could do the ones that are listed there. So according to, that's what the legal team said.
So he can, because I guess my main focus in vein in looking at this is ensuring that he's able to recommend positions that fall under his area of oversight.
So long as they're non-educational, correct.
Okay, so as long as
That's the piece of it.
okay, I just wanted to make
Yep.
sure. Then that would include the IT director, correct?
According to legal, no. He has to work with the superintendent on it.
You said work with.
Well, because it's an educational position, because it does,
It has a piece of education in it with the rest of the technology.
so according to the information with the definition, if it's student support, like it does something with students, look, and this ain't me, so I would say reach out to Alex if you want it, and no problem in that piece, but if it's primarily student support, then it is an educational function by the interpretation from our legal department.
Right, and I read the job description, and it has one small aspect of the educational component. So that's why, when I read the job description, it seemed like it majority, and I don't know, anybody else can chime in, Eric, anybody else who may have read it, it's mostly under operations with the piece of the learning technology aspect. So that's why I wanted to make sure we get clarification so that going forward, we don't have delays in new hires like we did in the past.
But with the IT part, shouldn't they be, seeing that they both have a piece of, they are to be working together?
Actually, my bad, can I say this part?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's an administrator position, and under our ORC, the administrators go through the superintendent, so it's actually nothing we can do about it. So that's why they should work together on it, because the business manager will be the person supervising, but the superintendent has to recommend it to us because it's an administrator position.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions, concerns?
So just clarifying, that is the superintendent, like we're doing today, it's a superintendent recommendation. However, the process is still with those individuals and how they end up moving it forward.
they should all work together because it touches every part of
Correct.
the district. And I mean, that's the biggest part here. Anyone in here, every position in here goes to any part of the organization, and the goal is that they all collaborate together. So, but if you're going by what the law says versus what we can do as a board, again, according to our legal department, administrators themselves, and that's the administrator position, has to come through the superintendent recommendation.
Right. No, well, I was clarifying this, that's just his recommendation to us as
Correct.
far as hiring, not
Correct.
the actual.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions, concerns? All right. Madam Treasurer?
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
No.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
I'll abstain.
5 yeses, 1 abstain, 1 no.
I just want to clarify, since, we do that at OSBA, I didn't actually read the policy, so that's why I'm abstaining, just to be clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for listening in that, training. I appreciate that. That's why I got us in there. That's wonderful.
I'll read it today, since it's now in effect.
Special presentation, Dr. Lawrence.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Bailey. Next presentation is why are we discussing? It says Dr. Lawrence, that's me. That's, let me see.
Did you see it?
No, I want to see what's wrong. I want to see what's wrong.
That didn't help.
What if you put it behind you? What if you put it behind you?
Yeah, let's do that.
That way, when the camera is facing you, it's behind you.
We got a court long enough to go that direction.
Okay.
Okay.
But you're blocking me.
It's fine. I just thought you needed to see it.
I thought he did too. I was about to say, I know my eyes are bad, but.
I understand. We're getting it.
While we're waiting to get set up, I want to acknowledge Mr. Gary Griffith who's in the house, longtime administrator in DPS, Springfield, Trotwood, legend. My basketball coach is a freshman, and Colonel White, principal.
This is my principal.
He was your principal, Colonel White. He was a lot of people's principal, so, yeah, yes, he was.
This kid's principal?
He was my kid's principal.
We all know Mr.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I think he's coming back, no, I think I know he's coming back to be recognized in the fall. He and his daughter have provided one of the most generous, if not the most individual generous scholarship for Dayton Public Schools in the known history of this organization. So we'll be recognizing him in the fall for that. I've had conversations with the Dayton Foundation, and they gave me that feedback about the size of the contribution. It's enormous. So, Coach, appreciate you. All right. First of all, I want to thank the Treasurer's Office for working with us. We spent a couple hours with them, so they helped us with the numbers and helped us talk through this presentation itself. It is not a budget presentation. It was only at first as such, but it's really a presentation around why we as a team, the board, the superintendent, the treasurer, the business manager, why we're moving forward and discussing. And later on today, there'll be two options around a levy that the board will discuss, and then they'll make a decision at some point in today's meeting, I'm presuming. And so we wanted to talk about the why before that. And so in front of you, you can see headlines from around the state. Columbus approves 50 million in cuts. Cleveland facing 150 to 120 million. If you're just looking at the screen, across the board, layouts approved in Akron, 37 million. Canton, 18 million in cuts. All of these superintendents, we're on a text thread, and every day we talk. We talk every day, and this has been the talk for the last couple of years. As part of that text thread, they always say to me, David, because we don't call each other doctor and all that stuff, they say, David, when's your district getting there? You guys are the only one not there.
Dr. Lawrence, can you come back to the mic?
I can't.
You know
well,
you
I
gonna
may have to
walk
get me a
around.
mic.
I'm just saying, they need to hear you.
Yeah, so I say, hey, our treasurer has done a phenomenal job. We've done a phenomenal job fiscally, but it's unsustainable for us too. Like, we don't escape this. Like everybody else is part of this. It'll be part of our journey too. I spoke earlier about the Ohio 8. It's really, we added another one, the rain, the 9th, but I just want to talk about briefly the 8 before that. Again, like I said before, we share the same financial structures. We share the same systems and setup. We share most likely we share the same setup for the most part in terms of how we do business with principals, operations, a treasurer, and the administrators themselves and what their functions are. So there's nothing really special about this district as it relates to those. We're all dealing with the same thing. Sharice? A roadmap, a promise. So a budget isn't just numbers. When you think about the budget, it tells a story about what the district really values and what your priorities are. In very simple terms, that's what a budget is. So ours is between 240 and 260 typically. That tells you what's important to us and how we spend our money. Much like the people do in their households. What they spend their money on is important to them. What they budget is important to them. So again, but unlike your budget, we have to have this conversation around what those competing interests are internally, and then make a decision around what we think is important. So let's talk about funding in very simple terms. State funding, local funding, federal funding. If there's $100 on the table, the state gives us 61, the local gives us 39, and the federal government gives us $1. That's about how this figures out if you have $100. So most of our funding comes from the state. I want to say at this point, I can't wait to hear the conversation from the board. I know Board Member Reiner spent a lot of time in Columbus, a lot of time around legislatures. She knows a lot about fair funding, about the funding process itself. And let's be clear, from a state share portion, the plan has been to continually, gradually decline in terms of what we are actually given as districts. And Dayton Public, when there's an inflation or when houses cost more and there's more revenue, we don't get those resources. So it doesn't look like that for us. So we get hit twice. We don't get any extra money when there's extra money, and they keep giving us less money. Earlier I talked about competing priorities. Back to the $100 analogy. When you think about us spending $100, about 72 of it is spent on academics. What is academics? The day-to-day operations, mostly teachers, counselors, to support the 13,000 kids that we have. That's the really simple way to put it. We have instructional programs that cost, books, technology, all those things, but simply put, academics is where us and most districts spend their money. Operations, they get their $28. They spend it on things like utility bills, HVAC, fixing roofs, the maintenance of fields, and other structural things that you see, in addition to transportation and other pieces that are part of operations.
Clarify, 28%, not $28.
Well, I said, well,
On that,
I see it says 28, but I'm saying in simple terms, if it's $100, we get 72, they get 28. Actually, part of this too, I'm glad you brought that up. We had a retreat in Chicago, and part of the conversation that I took away from it was when you all are presenting, you're presenting to the board and to the public. Get rid of your legalese, your terms, all your stuff that you talk about in education with your acronyms, and just talk plain talk like we're on the street. So we get 72 of the dollars, they get 28. How did we get here? We had, as a district, between 2020 and 24, we had $141 million in ESSERS funds. ESSERS funds, simply put, the federal government said COVID has started. So we're going to give you money because COVID started to do things to address COVID, which should have been things like additional building space, creating structures that provide space for kids, things like HVAC. We could have fixed every one of our HVAC problems with that $141 million over the course of those 4 years and been done with that. Dr. Jones and I talked about this the other day. I was standing talking to him at Thurgood. He said, Doc, it was about $1 million to get that done then. Now we're up to about 3.5 per HVAC process. So the process has gone up 3.5 times since we had this money. So what did we do with the money? We used it to expand personnel. We had more people, not construction, but more people. So we added people to the organization. Those people are still here. That's important to note. She must not like the presentation. Everybody has a lane. So what does this mean when we're talking about a budget in each person's lane? So the school board, they help set the vision of where we're going with the leadership team. That's what they do. And they help set the vision, and then they tell us, hey, we think we agree with you, let's put a levy on, or we don't agree, and you figure something out, David, you and the team. The superintendent, that's me, the instructional leader, who ensures that the programs that we're spending money on, we get a return for our investment, so to speak, and that we see outcomes. And so that's my lane. Madam Abrahar, her lane is to say, hey, listen, essentially, I want to make sure, because we can't go bankrupt because there's a thing called state takeover we do, and so I have to control the spending from you and the business manager. And I want to hear the priorities. She sits on cabinet, and she listens to the priorities around what we think we should do to make the district better academically, because we always start there with teachers and academics and kids. And then after that, she provides suggestions on how we can do that. And then the business manager, as I mentioned earlier, the physical and operational facilities. I don't want to dismiss that. We had to not open a school last year called Louise Troy because we had an HVAC issue. Operations is important, and it can be expensive too when you don't take care of things and you have delayed or deferred maintenance. What else drives what we do? Enrollment. So enrollment is important. I think when we got here as a team, we had a little under 12,000 kids, 11,900 something. Last I looked yesterday for this year so far, it's 12,600, something along those nature. We tend to get right above 13,000. So there's been a flattening out of enrollment for all school districts in the state. Dayton is one of just a couple in the region where we had an increase over the years, but we're even seeing that flatten out, especially with students with disabilities. Students, ELL students who've come from other countries, when we ask them why they're leaving, they comment about the political environment here. They're not leaving to go to another state, they're leaving and going back home. So that was really a surge in our enrollment that we see that's kind of flattened off. So for us in plain language in Dayton Public Schools, we don't continue to see a revenue increase because we're not seeing that kind of rapid increase that we've seen over the last 2 or 3 years since we've been here. All right. Why is a levy necessary now? Our unreserved fund balance, 26 is 91, 68 the next year, 39, and then 2. We're in deficit spending. What that means is if we earned $100, we're spending more than that. And so we are currently deficit spending, and the Board of Education, the treasurer, and all the leaders in the district, we've done that to take care of people in this community. We didn't do what you saw on that first slide about those headlines, about those other districts. We didn't do that. This I do know, having talking to board members each day, multiple times per day sometimes, is that there is a compassion and care for the community writ large, and especially certain sections of the community. So this was the thing where we wanted to wait as long as we could to have this conversation, and now we're here. We just can't escape this. Typically, what you hear in plain language, it's the thing that flies out of people's mouths, is just get rid of the administrators. Let's just do that. It's not that simple. Our per pupil cost by administrator, meaning how much we spend on each administrator based on the number of students we have, is about in line with other districts. Actually, it's lower for the most part. And so that kind of knee-jerk reaction, that's not an answer. Do you reduce the number of administrators if you reduce the number of building sites that you have? Yeah, you do. But there's lots of information and studies about administrators, in particular assistant principals, and explosive growth, but that has been a function of urban districts because we have more needs. What do we need to continue to pay for? Like, what's our most important thing? And the most important thing we're doing right now is Ford NGL. After that, college and career readiness, seeing our kids graduate ready to go. And then workforce readiness, seeing them ready to have a job. So military, college, certificate, associates, 4-year, and/or military, and/or entrepreneur. And so that's really our focus. That's when we think about a budget and spending money and why we would even ask for a levy, it's to continue the spaces where we're successful right now. What is Ford NGL? Long story short, in simple, plain language, we used to have a school called Patterson Cooperative. Most people remember that school. Sharice, I'm looking at her. Sharice was a graduate of Patterson Cooperative in 1984. There were, I'm sorry.
That's why I laughed. She about to get you.
I'm sorry, Sharice. That was a mistake. I meant 1998. So, I'm sorry. Is there somebody correct that on the record? 1998. And so Patterson was a world-class school. I mean, there would be folks who flew here from Sweden, Germany, Korea, Japan, from all over the world to see Patterson Cooperative. At Patterson, they worked for 2 weeks, and they went to school for 2 weeks. And I hope the Patterson folks are watching. It was by far one of the best schools in the nation. It was the only one of its kind that I can remember at that time that operated that way. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and they still had a great band. They still had a great football and basketball and track team. That was an exceptional space. We're trying to bring Patterson back to make every school like that, where every kid can invest in a pathway before they leave school, and they can then take that pathway out into the world if they choose to do so. That's essentially what all that means. We're trying to go back to a time when we had one of the greatest high schools in the country, and instead of duplicating it once at Patterson, we're trying to duplicate it 7 times across the board at high school, and then also get kids ready from K through 8 to make sure that they're ready for those experiences. In very simple terms, we want to bring 7 Pattersons back and get kids ready in elementary to get there. If we move forward with a levy, be it income or property tax, if it passes, it allows us to continue this work that I've been talking about, this great work moving toward transforming the district. staff and buildings aligned to enrollment without abrupt changes. And it gives us time to protect the work that we've already done without having to dismantle it by changing systems, structures, and people. If it fails, well, the first screen was some of the hard choices that the other districts made. We'll be making some of those same ones. If we put it on and it fails, spit it out, we'll have significant reductions in staffing, programs, and buildings. That becomes very likely. I want to make sure this is really clear. I talked to Board Member Smith about this earlier. He is certainly connected to the community. This is not a threat to the community. We don't do that. We're going to figure this out either way. This is just an alert to the community to say we have an issue. And our issue is the same as all the other districts in the state, of which 2/3 to 3/4 are dealing with this same issue. Didn't DPS just get $140 million in federal funds? Yes, those funds are gone. We were mandated to spend them, and we did spend them on some structures. The transportation center is new. We spent some on some other facilities and grounds. We spent some on Welcome Stadium. So we did do some things with that money that were related to spacing, but mostly it was people, and we still have those people. I mentioned earlier about administrators and where we were. Will schools close or staff be laid off? I'm going to go back to the headlines. Those are things that happen when you are deficit spending. You just can't continue to deficit spend. It's a conversation.
Dr. Lawrence, just to clarify, when did the district get $140 million?
Between 2020 and 2024.
Okay, so we didn't, yeah.
Yeah, so thank you for that. We don't have it now. Yes, 2020 and 2024, before you came.
It was.
And if I can add, we were legally mandated to spend it all by September 2024.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Reiner. We were legally mandated, and the Treasurer's Office, working with our office, did a fantastic job of reallocating some of that money so that we can use it in operations and academics. So thank you for that. We were one of the few districts, thank you, Ms. Reiner, we were one of the few districts that did not have to send ESSER's money back to the government. Because if you didn't spend it by September 30th of 2024, you had to send it back. We didn't send a penny back. Why now, after 18 years? Well, that's the problem. It's been 2 decades. We probably should have done this sooner, but we didn't, so we're here now. How much will this cost my household? I saw this, and I actually wanted to take it off, because every time I see it, I always ask myself, well, what if your home is more than $100,000, or what if it's less than $100,000? But it's on here now. At $100,000, it's about $175 per year for the 5 meals, and $245 per year at 7. And then how do we know the money will be spent well? I think some of my other colleagues, that Ohio 8 text message I told you we have, I've been to see their districts when they're making the cuts, and they've made commitments to the community to update them regularly, and I've been to see them when they successfully pass levies, and they have what they call levy update meetings to say this is how we're spending the money, and being stewards of the money that you gave us in the levy. So we would update the public regularly on, hey, we passed the levy, here's how much the levy provided for us, and here's what we're doing with the levy dollars. At the end, I just want to say that it's repetitive and it sounds cliche, but we try and should make every decision in the best interest of DPS students. And so this is why you hear the board have this conversation later on in the meeting after we get through the recommendations. As I mentioned before, there are 2 options, and I will certainly sit back and listen to the board have that conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This time, there are questions or concerns at this time?
Comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to thank you for the prison. Hold on, they doing stuff anyway. I'm gonna be blacked out by the moon. So first, I do want to thank the superintendent for the presentation. I think it was a necessary, coupled with the presentation that Madam Treasurer gave at our last meeting, that gave kind of the numbers, this piece of showing some of the realities. With the levy conversation itself here, I just want to know, Dr. Lawrence, how does our staff feel about what's happening? And I'm beyond the low building. Are they aware of any of these type of things that we're talking about?
No, I don't think they're aware. That's why we came out with the plain talk presentation today. I think I think people have heard, like they hear lots of things and there's lots of scuttlebutt. But no, I don't think there is a mass understanding of where we actually are and what this means. I have had this conversation with the union leaders, but I've not had it in a situation like this.
Okay, thank you. So I mean, we've talked about the levy itself, and as I've stated numerous times up here, the individuals who vote to put it on the ballot have no stake in it because we don't work here. But I do understand that the people here who are asking us for it, this is to give you guys a shot at not only continuing what you have, but trying to find ways to manage where you have right there. So thanks for the presentation. Still, it's a good amount of stuff to think about. I do hope members of the community go out and check this out. I want to say also, I see the co-contributors on here. Good work, Dr. Miller and Dr. Worley, on helping the superintendent. This is a good presentation. They're not here today, but I see their names on
Their
there.
names are on there.
So thank you. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Anyone else?
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Dr. Lawrence, just real quick, I do want to make not a correction, but an adjustment.
Sure.
In some of the numbers. And Treasurer, correct me if I'm wrong. So on, I don't know what slide number it is, you're talking about the 3 different revenue streams that we have. We have our state and local and federal. That is only, if you add in all of our federal funding, that does change the numbers slightly. It still puts us, it does not change the financial situation that we're in. But when we're looking at our federal dollars, particularly Title I, then the numbers would end up being our state portion revenue is 69%, our local would be 21%, and our federal would be about 8.5%. Is that about correct?
What he's talking is general fund only, our operating account. He's not including our federal funds.
Okay, I still wanted to add that in. When, you can look at it in 2 different ways, and I think it's important to look
Yeah.
at it with our federal numbers in too. There's, the first perspective is important as well
Yeah.
too, but I wanted to add that in.
Yeah, he was showing to compare to the forecast.
Yeah.
Ms. Reiner, thank you for that. I think your point's really important because, and there was a note on the slide I forgot to mention, and actually, I'm glad you said that. Oftentimes, like when we're up here and we hire people, we spend money for something, there are codes on the side that people don't see. And so as Madam Treasurer said, I was talking about 001, but I don't think the public realizes that those grant dollars that you spoke about, we can't just spend them, there are restrictions on them. And because of those restrictions, like, it's difficult to count them as part of the process. So thank you for that.
Yep. And I would also like to add, I have said this numerous times from the dais, DPS has about 20 to 22, sometimes 25% of our students are students with disabilities and are on IEPs. That means that there is an increased cost for educating them. There's additional personnel and services and support that they need. It's a pretty high number. And the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, which was passed in the 70s with the promise that schools were mandated to educate students with disabilities, and the federal government would reimburse 40% of that educational cost. IDEA has only been funded up to the highest level of 18%, and we're currently at 13%. So there's a huge dollar amount that we spend that is not reimbursed from the federal government that the promise was made back in the 70s. We have a moral and a legal obligation to educate every single child that walks through our doors, and we take that gladly, but we do understand that there is an increased cost, particularly in a district like ours with a high number of students on IEPs. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Lacy?
I mean, I did a little bit of research about actually past levies. I think we could go into this with that information if you think that's okay. The 2002 levy, which was the bond levy, that on the ballot that was 7.97 mils, so that was 8 mils. And the District 1 that with 25,843 votes to 14,386 votes, that's 64% to 36%. And that was 2002. So that was not a presidential year, it was like a congressional year or an off year, much like the 2026 November would be. So it was November 2002. Then the next levy was 2007, and I believe it was in the spring of 2007. And that was 15, on the ballot, it was 15.17 mils. And that lost big. That was 9,069 votes for, that's 42%, to 12,404 against, 58%. Then the most recent levy, of course, was 2008, and that was in November of 2008, a presidential year. That was for 4.9 mils, and the district won that with 38,986 votes. That's 57% to 28,523 votes. That would be 43%. So that was, the wins were very lopsided in favor, and the loss was very lopsided against. And so that's just the history. And board members can take that information and deal with it as they wish. Thank you. And thank you for your presentation, Mr. Superintendent.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. At this time, we're hearing of the bargaining units.
Dang.
Police out there too.
Yeah, they just pulled up. All right, hearing from the public. The public is invited to attend board meetings, and individuals are given a designated time to express viewpoints during the public hearing portion of the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Education during the hearing of the public portion of the board meeting will comply with the following rules. Complete a request form to hearing public and submit it to the public information officer. When called upon, identify yourself, state name, address, and school district in which you reside. State your reason for addressing the board. Electronic submissions will only be used during remote meetings. A non-English speaker will need to provide an interpreter. Time may be extended due to interpreter also speaking. Address the board as a whole through the president and not board members individually. Materials for distribution to the board are handed to the treasurer. Limit remarks to three minutes. The president has the discretion to extend the time. When your time is up, you are to stop speaking. It is inappropriate to address any matter involving pending disputes, grievances under a labor agreement, disciplinary action involving an employee or a student, ongoing labor negotiations, concerns or matters that have already been settled, and/or any matter which, because of its nature, is deemed appropriate to be discussed in executive session. The purpose of the public hearing portion of the meeting is for the members of the public to express viewpoints and public concerns. Madam Treasurer?
We have no one.
Nobody. I think I'm gonna start asking.
Hey, to me, I was looking like, why they get longer?
Because I usually don't read all of it.
Yeah, that's what I was like. I got longer.
Usually don't read all of it. But I'm gonna start asking beforehand, be like, yeah, I'm reading all that. All right, superintendent's personal agenda.
Thanks so much, Dr. Bailey. I would ask the board to take let me stop, because I see it's a 48-hour waiver. So let's start with that. I'd ask them to please approve the 48-hour waiver.
So moved.
Second. Any questions or concerns? All right, Madam Treasurer.
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reiner,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Dr. Bailey, I would like to ask that you take B through G. I've had lots of conversations with board members this week, and Ms. Miners and HR have been working well together. I think we're close to a clean board agenda today, but I'll ask you to take a look at it, and let's take them together if you can.
So moved.
I'll second that. And I hope everybody's already looked at a lot of this. Any questions or concerns?
Comments.
Yes.
I just want to make a comment to the team to please utilize our main portal for applications, because one of these positions were only posted on LinkedIn. That just gives a distance, people who don't have those type of accounts. Like, we're trying to be transparent here. We should have everything on our main site, even if you are using secondary sites to increase the portals in that piece.
We would agree. I saw HR shaking their head. We would, LinkedIn, Facebook, and the main portal. That position, you're absolutely right, and we'll make sure it doesn't happen again.
And give internal candidates a chance to compete for opportunities here. No matter what level they are in the organization, if they are qualified, they should be granted an interview.
Gotcha.
How many portals do we use?
Just frontline.
We need more than that,
I mean, that's the main one. I mean,
because this one was on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
well, you said portal, I'm thinking,
No, how many do we use to send?
How many places?
frontline, LinkedIn, Facebook, what am I forgetting? Oh,
And
Indeed,
Indeed.
thank you.
So why don't we post the positions on all of them? What is the issue with that? Say that again? Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
then
will
we
be.
won't have that problem anymore.
Yep.
And the internal announcement, is that a selective piece when we announce to everyone else that something is open? Or is it? Will we be consistent on it?
Yes.
Come on to the mic. 'Cause it seemed like we.
Too late now, it's answered.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we will.
Any other questions or concerns?
Mr. Walker?
Can I pull B11 for a separate vote?
D11.
B as in boy or D as in dog?
B as in boy.
He is in boy?
B as in
Yeah.
boy.
11?
Yes.
All right.
I have one more, Mr. President.
Dr. Goodwine?
Yes, I do want to thank the HR team for adding the OHID numbers onto individuals, primarily because in the asterisk that lets us know if they're pending or not, primarily because from our treasury team at that 60-day mark, I really hope these individuals do have their issued licenses, because after 60 days, and Madam Treasurer, correct me if I'm incorrect, after that 60-day mark, we can no longer legally pay these individuals if they have not secured licenses.
Agreed.
All right, so thank you for making that note there, and
Problem.
I hope we communicate that to the individuals as well.
Mr. Walker?
Okay. I know that, so for starters, I do want to thank Siobhan King, Shelley Murphy, Amy Ernst, and Myra Baker for their service as principals or assistant principals here at Dayton Public Schools, and wish them well in their new endeavors that they'll be embarking on. With that, under certified appointments, Dr. Lawrence, I know that C23 was disregard. It's changed.
Gotcha. No problem.
Earlier it said a different building, and I was curious on if that was a new program that was going to be added, but it's been corrected.
No problem. We're trying to get out of here with a clean one today. We're getting close.
Thank you.
Close.
Anyone else? Dr. Goodwine?
Yes, I do also want to echo Mr. Walker. I want to thank Ms. Baker, Ms. Ernst, Mr. King, and Ms. Murphy, because I've gotten to see them through my entire time of being on the Board of Education. And I hope that no matter where they're going, that they are able to be successful. Well, I know they're going to be successful because they were really good individuals. So thank you guys, and we wish you the best.
Yeah, ditto. Great people. Anybody else? That's it? Yeah, that's my line, brother, my saying. J. King.
Will, you know what that means? Never mind.
Madam Treasurer?
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwine,
Yes,
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
7 yeses.
H.
B11 separate.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right.
Yep.
11 separate. I'm sorry about that.
That's all right.
Any questions or concerns on that before we move on? Did you have anything?
One more game today.
Okay. Madam Treasurer?
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Abstain.
6 yeses, 1 abstain.
Dr. Bailey, I would ask you and the board to take a look at the budget information. If you have any questions, we have been having a robust and consistent finance meeting led by Board Member Lacy, so we look forward to having any questions there.
Any questions or concerns?
So is this, okay. Under the actual field teachers, so currently, the positions budgeted for the year is 808.5, and currently, after this, we're at 777. So will that number be hit by the time school year starts? Or
I don't know. We're one board meeting away, so I don't think we're gonna have 20 teachers in the next week, but maybe, and I think we have, depending on what you all do later, we might have a special meeting or two. If there are teachers, of course, we put them on. So that's the goal. I cannot say for sure if we'll hit that. But yes, that's been a primary emphasis for us, job one. It's been the consistent and repeated conversation in HR, teachers, teachers, teachers.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Bailey, can I ask a question? It's more for the board members. If, based on what Dr. Lawrence just said there, can we just give them permission this month to be able to hire teachers if they know that they're coming? That way they don't have to wait for us to convene between now and the end of August.
Sounds good to me.
Look, it's only $125 we're gonna miss, it's okay. But I'm just saying, like,
No, yeah, I'm good with
is
that.
anyone in disagreement with that
You
piece
want-
of giving
you
them
want
that
the
permission
25.
between now and August of the 31st?
So is it just teachers, or are we looking at?
Teachers.
Okay.
I would say teachers, because administrators and all those other things, that's different. Teachers are, we can be in there.
Okay.
All right, so no one objected to it, that you guys can hire teachers between now and there. Please just make sure they are on the right pay cycle for the treasurer's office.
But is that, so do we need to,
I'm putting a motion on the floor.
okay.
I move that we approve for the superintendent to hire teachers between now and August 31st. Are there 31 days in August? I'm asking you, is it 30 or
I
31?
can't remember.
31.
31.
31 in August. Nope, that's July.
July is
Let me check.
31.
Someone,
30 days, half
30,
September.
'cause I said it.
April, June. August not in that, so.
August says 31 as well. Yep.
thank you, I was right. Between now and August 31st to hire teachers without the board, or with approval coming at the next board meeting. That they were hired. Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Treasurer?
Okay. President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker,
Yes.
7 yeses.
I'm sorry, Mr. Smith.
Did want to ask, with the resignations that we have within the principal rank, what is your plan on getting them in and ramped up as we have what? A little over a month, around, no, less than that.
There are several that are in queue right now. I just happened to, for the first time, be in an assistant principal interview today. So there are several that are in queue that shall probably be able to get before the next meeting, which is this next Tuesday. If not, then I will let Board President Bailey know, like, if it's an emergency or not, that we need to have an administrative assignment.
Okay, and then a follow-up
Thank you for
on
that question, though.
In that space, well, I know we want to hurry up and get them in. Also, we want to give that space, like was just brought up, around internal candidates. So have you guys been really going through those and making sure that the internal folk who may want to apply are aware of the positions?
Yes, to answer your question, I think Kemp, we went back and did that one. The international school, that one's up now, internally only. And let me see, E.J. Brown, we needed assistant there. I don't know if that was internal. I have to double check that, but if not, we'll make sure it is. And Belmont, internal, external, and I'm scanning the district right now.
All right,
Oh, I think there might be one or two more I'm missing, but yes.
I'll follow up. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I had, sir.
Thank you, sir. Your recommendation, sir?
I would recommend for review, the contracts are really light today, contracts and purchase orders, so I would recommend that you review those. The Kroc Center MOU, the ESC resolution, and a review of the 27 org chart. So, like I say, contracts light, POs light, and all the other recommendations are for review.
Any questions or concerns? Dr. Goodwine?
Yes, on the ESS Northeast LLC, we've had this conversation for multiple years regarding the substitute services we're having. I kind of want to update on not just the educational piece, but on our custodians and other places that we utilize this, because we've been trying to move this out of a contract and back in-house for a while. So can we just get an update of what's going on? Have we had movement on that process? Because we're here a year later at the same point.
Ms. Mickey and Dr. Jones, Ms. Minor, and I will get together and we'll send a written update to you on where we are.
Can I get a snippet of what that is?
You can get it. You can get a snippet. The plan is to bring that in-house with 2 positions to do the substitute assigning for the schools. ESS is a service that is very expensive, and we think given where we are financially, we need to bring it back in-house. We've done it over the years, over the almost 30 years that I've seen it. It's been in and out and in and out. I think it's actually more effective in-house because you actually know the people and we are operating internally within. So that's the plan. And last year, we didn't miss the deadline, but we talked to ESS about this. So they are not, I was just at the meeting with them. They are not unaware that this is our plan.
And then my second question, which I hope we get a date on that plan. 'Cause
Yes.
Future things, never. Second one on the.
Looking at Ms.
segue-
Mickey, she's got it.
On the claims for workers' compensation, just curious a little bit about what do our claims look like over the past 3 years? How have we been, if things are common things or people are getting hurt in ways that can be preventative, are we taking those steps? Is what's going on in there, just other than us approving these contracts?
Next Tuesday, we'll just do a little brief overview. How about that?
All right,
All right,
thank you.
gotcha.
Mr. Walker?
Okay. I'm on the org chart. So I will start on the superintendent side. Dr. Lawrence, under, I think this is Associate Superintendent Minor, Ms. Minor, it's a director but no name. Is that a current vacant position? Like, I'm not interested in the name, I'm really just seeing if that's a vacant position or, I want to
Yes.
say this is OEC?
Yeah,
Doesn't
yes.
identify as OEC.
Yeah, that is a vacant. Gail Wright is leaving, and I forgot the district.
Right.
Yeah, so that's her.
Okay, I just didn't know if this was, like, it just said director. Okay,
Yep,
so that
that's-
is OEC.
That's her, yes.
Okay. The second one is it doable to move truancy under student enrollment? Or, I guess it's better to ask the relevancy of truancy reporting to the research director, or is is that not reporting to research and it's just reporting to Associate Superintendent Dr. Sheehy?
It's reporting to the research director, and it's because he manages and controls EMIS. And every year we have, I think it was 128 last year, we have students who
That's right.
are on a list that can't find, and that affects not only our graduation rate, but funding. And so he manages EMIS, so we have it there. When you look at this organizational chart, I think this is I'm going to say this, I think non-educators think about it in a linear way. They think about this person reports to that person and nobody else can tell them what to do. It doesn't work that way. We all kind of work together. I see Byron shaking his head. And you can't get this work done without working cross-functionally and cross-departmentally. So sometimes it's not a matter of where the line is. It's just that's where it is, and we continue to work together. But he works with those students to try to find them, and so does truancy.
Okay. This is just review, right? We're not passing this tonight. There's a follow-up question that I'll ask.
Sure.
Offline. Okay. Under business manager, Dr. Jones, few clarifying questions. The director of operations and compliance. So is that, okay, the director of transportation is vacant. And this individual, why? I thought the plan was to move it back the end of the year or beginning of the contract year.
I think we'll be fine with the way we've had it structured. We sorely need that director of compliance position. I can share with the board a report that kind of outlines some things that have been remedied because of that particular focus on compliance.
Okay, so is this vacant director of transportation position?
I'm sorry?
So okay, I thought that with the director of operations compliance one, that was already one FTE on that side. But now this adds an additional FTE on that side under this new budget cycle because that position did not exist last year. But then we're continuing with that same position still on the transportation side, so we increased.
No, sir. I don't see that position. Wait a minute, let's see. There it is. We can remove that.
Okay,
It's 1, 2, 3, 4 down on the chart, the org chart up under the senior executive director of transportation.
yes,
Yes, we can remove that.
okay. And then the next two questions is really moving. Can IT go under you and athletics go under you?
Most definitely.
Okay. Those are, I think that's all of mine.
Anyone else? Mr. Smith?
No, this is not for Dr. Jones. If anybody else had anything for Dr. Jones while he was up, if not, I was going to go something else.
Anybody else have something for Dr. Jones?
Huh?
All right.
All right, you can go. If yours is on the org chart, I was going to talk about something else.
Okay. Can I just request, I appreciate knowing the people on here, but people leave and all that. Can we just have the final one just with the positions?
We'll talk about it.
Okay. I know they have a sidebar.
I'm sorry.
I would have that preference as well.
Okay, I was saying, this was really great for us to see the people in the position, but people fluctuate and leave and do that. Can you guys give us the one we vote on next week, just the positions? The same thing, just take the names off.
So, yes, so I, thank you. So, yes, we can leave them off. I put them on because Ms. Garrison is new. I didn't think she knew all the people, so I wanted her to see them.
I appreciate you doing that. Thank you.
Absolutely. I was looking out for you, Ms.
Oh, it
Garrison.
was really good. Like, I appreciate it. I just want the one, the final one that
So-
goes on the website.
Yeah.
Just positions.
Actually, we prefer that.
So why don't you just put that one with no names on the website and then send one out to all of the people so they'll know who is in.
Correct. Yeah, like, send this one.
Yeah, send this to everybody else.
Gotcha.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, going back to the the ESS, and with what you were just talking about, Dr. Lawrence, with trying to move in-house with two people, would that be strictly for subs that are in teaching roles, or would that also encompass clerical, people over in operations? Would they have that capacity if it's just two people trying to fill all of those spaces?
Yes, I think they would have that capacity. You might even remember this, you might even know this. We used to only have one person do it. It was Sharita Wynn. She was the person who did it. And so I think when the organization was actually a little bigger. And so I think two people, one dedicated to teachers and one dedicated to everybody else, I think we could do it.
Okay, and then also, in that plan that you're coming up with, I would love to see then what does that flow chart look like? Thinking we talk about the communication piece. 'Cause we see so many different things where now in a building, if there's a situation where a principal has a bad experience, what does that look like if we move? How would they report that up? How would we be able to flag incidences? Just with so many things changing where it comes down to safety issues or, when issues arise and we've had situations where, a fit might not have been good there. So I think part of that is also giving staff that understanding of what to do, not just for the people who would be navigating and making sure that we have those vacancies filled, but then all the people that will be working with those people that fill those vacancies so that everybody knows how to help, what is the protocol of the M4 sub coming in, how do we make sure that they are aware what they're gonna be doing, long-term clericals versus someone we have a short-term for a day. So I think that would be a good piece of that plan when you roll that out, of communicating with everybody so they kind of know how to navigate this space too.
I think that's really good feedback. We just asked the question in the meeting the other day, like, who do you call? And I think you're absolutely right. Like, who do you call and what is that? A mess. And like, what does that mean and what does that look like? So we will definitely not only take that under consideration, we'll make it happen.
Appreciate it, sir.
All right.
I would like to, Dr. Lawrence, congratulate you and Ms. Minor for this ESC contract and the savings, for sure.
Well, let me just say this. Is this your second or third year? I can't remember. Third?
Three.
Three starts. Like, you're in three now?
I'm in three now.
You came in here talking about that, and we heard you. We just can't get to it all at one time. And Ms. Minor has been overseeing OEC. That we don't have an executive director there. That's a conversation for next year. But in that role, she has immediately addressed your valid concern. You had a very valid concern. You're like, why does this number keep going up? And why do we keep spending more and more and more? Especially in light of the budget presentation that the Madam Treasurer gave last month and the plain talk overview that I just gave. It's important that we do that for the health of the organization. So thank you for continuing to bring it up, and we got it.
Appreciate you.
Anything else? All right. Madam Treasurer.
Okay. All mine are for review only. We will go to A. A is Certificate of Estimated Resources. What we are doing is in June, we approved temporary budget, but since we closed the year and we know the fund balances, so since we start with the unreserved fund balance and go from that, this is a Certificate of Estimated Resources. We start in the year with 182.6 million unreserved fund balance. We expect to get from taxes $94 million, and other sources are tax, federal taxes, state, and so on, and interest, and so on. So we expect to get $268 million. So our estimated certificate is going to be $545.3 million for 2027. This is the permanent estimated resources is going to be for 2027. We will go to the appropriation. In appropriation is the same. The only thing we are adjusting in here on the temporary is we added some SROs because they were reduced. We had a reduction, but now they needed it, so we added that one. And we are going to get about 1.5 million transfer to permanent improvement for the caps we borrow. So the appropriation for our operating account is $263.7 million, but for all other funds, including general fund, is going to be $394.3 million. That is the permanent appropriation. We will go to C. C is a transfer. A transfer from general fund to permanent improvement, 1.5 million. That is for the debt service payment. Advances, D is advances. All these advances are from federal funds to general. We move it, we paid with the general fund, but we got the money, we are reimbursing general fund. Monthly financial is a placeholder because we meet with the finance committee on Thursday, and for Tuesday, it's going to come for the board approval. Donations, we have several donations. Thank you, donors. Until I send the letter to them, thank you. Approval of minutes. We have minutes June 9, June 13, June 23, and June 26, and they are attached. Purchase requisitions. We have several purchase requisitions, and we'll look at them. If you have any questions, they are from different departments, and we will answer them accordingly. Then and now, we have several then and now. Let's look at them. If there is any questions, we'll answer. So that's it for me. If you have any question, I'm here.
Any questions or concerns? Good one.
Couple questions on
Purchase.
Yes, this is for this one, my first one's for Dr. Jones. The Law 1560 Stanley LLC, can we get an update on what property we have in the storage and kind of what's happening with it? Because is this that agreement that was supposed to be 3 years or 5 years, something like that?
Yes, ma'am, 3 years.
Okay, so we're in year
So you-
2?
Yes.
Okay. Can we get a presentation update, something, whether it's going to, we're selling it, it's being stored for use, just what's happening with that stuff? I just don't want us to get to the end of the contract and have to renew because we haven't done things to get rid of items that aren't actively in use.
Most definitely. Yes, ma'am.
When can we get that?
Well, you can get it next week.
All All right, thank you. The second question is about some of the curriculum items. The physical student textbooks. And
Same thing I
I know,
Same thing I said.
same thing. So Dr. Lawrence or Dr. Sheehy, who uses physical textbooks?
That is literally,
That's
That's
what we
is
asked
this
him to
stuff
review.
not digital? And it could be a lower price or something like that for us to just have the digital piece, because the books, I mean, we got a ton in the warehouse that I'm still trying to figure out what we're gonna do.
that is literally what we talked about.
And we honest, because it's coming out, this funding source says general. So-
Yeah, I asked about that.
Yes, we did have a conversation about that, the way that these contracts are set up. It goes together. So they don't just give the electronic version. You pay for that. And these providers are on a list that we get from the state, and we have to choose from that list. And that's just the way that the package comes. Now, there are exceptions. So in some of the higher level maths, they may offer just the electronic version. Most of these are consumables. So they are workbooks that the students use instead of like hardback books. There are some series that we have hardback books that are in the class that students don't take. So they may just have a class set. But for the most part, it is a package deal.
I know. So if we have to take these, can we get some evidence that we are at least utilizing these things? Like a picture of a kid holding the book, opening it up.
So, Dr. Goodwine, I said as many bag checks that I've done.
I don't even know if they have lockers anymore.
Like the
Put a book in a
laptops,
locker.
literally the Google Classroom, I see that used a lot.
A lot more.
Like the books is,
We do, on our transformational tours, we do actually look at student resources to see if they're being used. And then if not, we try to figure out the why behind that. But yes, because we have laws and policies about high-quality instructional material in Ohio, they come as package deals.
We could be creative and build something out of them. Just do something with them.
Can I give a parent perspective on this?
Sure.
So my kids who've been in high school have still gone to pick up textbooks at the beginning of the school year, and they've taken them home. They don't take them to school because they don't need them in school. There usually is a physical textbook at school, which means that's a good thing. That means they don't have to take them back and forth. I don't know how much my kids have used the physical textbooks, but I mean, there are times when like our Wi-Fi is not great because we've got a bunch of kids on the Wi-Fi at the, and I know that they are used every once in a while. Obviously, I think that there's a desire to streamline the process and to not have unutilized resources, but I think it's a good thing to still have some physical textbooks available since we have to.
Just use them. Do something with it.
Any other questions, concerns?
That's it.
Mr. Walker? Mr. Smith?
I was like, he looked at you.
I could go, but I mean,
I don't know. So, for participants for tuition reimbursement for students at detention centers, Dr. Lawrence, could you send out a report of what that looks like right now, and then also how that is working in tandem with the services for DPS students who are in Montgomery County Juvenile Center? And then also, what does that look like as it flows when students are returning back to the district? Namely with us moving Mount Street and DDA in combination with Jackson over there. I would definitely also like to see an update on what that looks like for that building this year, and possibly with Dr. Jones as well. Are there any other spacing requirements, furnishings, things that we need to be on the lookout for to ensure the success of all three programs being in the same building?
Hey, thank you for that, Mr. Smith. I see Ms. Minor's left hand writing. Ms. Minor and I met with Mr. Schaefer, who supervises the detention center, and I know that Ms. Minor and Ms. Dooley have been working for at least 6 to 8 months with the transition team. They've been doing a great job with that. In fact, I think they've let it go now, let that team move forward. And I'm glad you brought that up about Jackson Center and us preparing for transitional spaces there for the students so that they don't go directly to the high school, which is one of the reasons we wanted Jackson Center.
Right, and then also for me, with combining the programs, how does that look for every program to have their spatial needs as well over there? And do we envision having to move some pieces out, or doing some different things digitally, or doing different things inside the building, just based on what that looks like when we get over there? Does that change the capacity for what the alternative school, what their cap was? Just really looking at how we're going to really be beneficial to our students using this shared space.
No problem at all, Mr. Smith. I know that I've seen at least 3 ELFs working on that. Ms. Dooley, Dr. Lowry, and Ms. Minor. I've had meetings with Dan and his team, so I know that we're in process right now.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
If possible, Ms. Minor, because you opened my eyes to something in the review, could you explain how we're paying so much money for the kids that are only in the district, that don't even belong to us? I'd like the public to hear about that.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Bailey, for the question. The money and the bill that you see from Montgomery County Juvenile Court doesn't only service our students, it's all students within the city, within our jurisdiction. So there could be kids there are students that are there temporarily detained from other schools, the charter schools or any of them. That's all under the bill. It's not just Dayton Public. And that's just because we're the head district, it's under our bill.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Yes, sir.
I don't know if this is something that needs to be corrected. Mobile health services, I don't know if the description, is that supposed to be, is this a duplicate of juvenile court, or is mobile health services? Because one purchase order says that they're doing physical exam and testing of transportation employees, and then the other one says invoice for students who may enter juvenile court.
That is, I'll have to ask Jordan Harris about that.
Okay.
I'll ask Jordan about it and get that with you.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone else? Oh, you got something?
I do.
Oh,
Since we are at purchase records, since we're at, I do need to do a motion to reconsider from our June 23rd meeting on this Dragonfly purchase order. I thought me and Chief Jones, I was gonna have a note to remember, but I did not. So I am asking,
Second.
thank you.
Which one?
Make the motion properly.
You gotta, it's been 2 meetings.
I thought the special meeting doesn't count.
It's 2 meetings, it's just like 2 meetings, so you just gotta wait the rule first.
Okay, so motion to suspend our board rules.
Yes.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion to suspend board policy regarding motion to reconsider.
Second. Can you tell us why?
Yeah, Dragonfly, I have a conflict.
Okay. Thanks. You gotta put her on your feet, man.
I'll be trying to get us out of here.
Dragonfly, what is Dragonfly?
So, that's what officials get paid out of through the district. So,
Oh,
But you don't do officiating for the district, right?
no, but I still receive money through
Yeah, okay.
Dragonfly from other districts.
I just want people to know that you don't do.
Yeah, I do not. State said I cannot.
So motion to
Suspend
Yeah, motion to suspend the rules.
suspend rules, so
for drugs.
And for those who are looking for it, it's on the 23rd on page 3 of purchase regs.
Maybe find that stuff so fast.
It's right there.
Nah,
Madam Treasurer?
it's a trick.
Okay. President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Now you make a
Now you make it.
Yes, so now it's a motion to reconsider the Dragonfly purchase order.
I'll second it.
Any questions or concerns? No? Madam Treasurer?
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yeah.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
Motion, motion to approve the Dragonfly order.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Okay. President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
I'm gonna abstain, might be a right this year.
Like you
abstain.
are there.
Okay. Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Abstain.
5 yeses, 2 abstain.
All right. Business manager.
Thank you, Board President. I have a contract with Envision Ed Plus. It's with the U.S. Department of Justice and School Safety. It's a grant writing organization that we've worked with in the past. So if you have any questions about that, please ask. And then the resolution brings us into compliance with House Bill 96 concerning cybersecurity.
So, okay. So 2 questions. Number 1, for the, I went back and I looked. So this operational directive, did this go through the Building Operations Technology Committee?
No.
So, no.
Okay. So I would like to send this back to that committee to review it. And also at the review session, I had asked for the language in this to be changed to reflect executive director or designee or something like that. It still just has director in it.
Right, yeah, so with some of the cybersecurity tenets or plan, we can't talk about it publicly because then we'll be giving up information.
We can have
So
executive
we can
session
do
in
it
committees.
executive session, yeah. So we'll do it.
We do it in Ms. Hamilton's all the time, the ones that I do go to.
Okay.
So. That's it for me.
Anybody else? Dr. Goodwin?
Yes, it's not necessarily on these items, but I did send you an email to get some updates on our preparation for the start of school, not only for us as a board, but for the public to know what's going on with that information.
Oh, I shared that with you earlier today.
Talk to us about it.
and
World
so
needs to know.
it's pretty vast, but when it comes down to building readiness, we are on schedule in terms of the deep cleaning that takes place, making sure that our schools are stocked with paper products and everything. And so we are definitely on track to have those ready to rock and roll by 7/31. In terms of, we have several BAS projects, HVAC projects going on in the district. We have concrete work that's been finalized, actually. I could actually go through the document that I sent earlier, but I could put together a presentation if you like as well.
It would be really good. Some of the major concerns are kind of how we ended the school years with some of the HVAC systems going out when school had to be canceled. Some past concerns or past issues that happened usually at the start of school. For some reason, our children decided to die HVAC systems go out, some, just those pieces of things that we have known to happen, us checking on those, that would be really great, because the last thing we want to do is inconvenience our families.
Most
When
definitely.
they have been, I know at this point, a lot of them are ready to get back in, they're in the middle of summer. So we want to make sure that that occurs. And then some of the ongoing building issues, as you know, my brother is a parent at Conants and has reported several times about things that happen at these different schools. Just wanted to know where we are in those pieces and
Right.
getting those more real-time reports as a body. So people know that even though they keep reporting it to us, we have given it to the appropriate individuals and just getting those status updates so they can see from our meetings that someone is doing something with it.
Most definitely. You have it in your hands now. I'll put together a presentation so that the community knows what's going on with the various projects that we have throughout the district. So,
Mr. Walker?
So, two things for me. Looking at the report, I see that Ludlow 1 will be available to use potentially in August.
yes. So the chiller has been delivered. The coils are full of water and they're chilled now. So it'll be ready August 1st if nothing else happens.
No, I kind of missed that little meeting room we have over here. I've been there in so long. And then second question, is it possible, since the school year is about to start, to get an update on the high school cafeterias as well?
Oh,
Just
most
seeing where
definitely.
that is? Okay.
Yes, sir. Definitely.
Ms. Lyon? Anyone else? All right.
That's all you got?
Internal auditor.
I recommend the approval of the fiscal year 27 annual audit plan.
So moved. Second.
I've never talked so little. That was so quick. That was so quick. I came ready. Okay, that's good.
I would like some explanation from our internal auditor about the audit plan, please.
The annual audit plan, which hopefully will be approved by you all today, does dictate where our resources are dedicated towards, or, for this next fiscal year. The annual projects that are suggested to the board already go through an approval process and are based off of risk assessments that are done across the district. Those risk assessments go through a process of both informal interviews with leadership, as well as leadership has the opportunity to have different surveys that they will submit. And then there's a lot of other pieces as well that I will summarize or share more details on if preferred. If you'd like
Ms.
more
Reinhardt did
details.
the line out there. You really appreciated that, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I love it. I'll talk all day if I could, but I'm getting the feedback that it may be a short time today. Any other questions? I'm happy to talk more.
Just more for the board. I know last week, Mr. Walker put out a motion about the flock cameras that didn't go. One of the things in the audit committee we did put out for our auditor to look at kind of the system so we could have more information as a board to know where we're going from that and that piece of it. Do you still need us to tell you that now to put this in the plan? Because I know we have a section in here that are just other projects. Would you like us to amend this to add that for you to officially work on?
Fantastic question. So at this time, I've been collecting the data and research, and I've created some suggested scope and objectives. That'll go back through the audit committee, but I have already started working towards gathering that information to analyze it, to see what we could actually achieve through an actual audit versus other types of work that we may perform, such as an investigation. So that will be more thoroughly discussed, what I'm recommending in the audit committee, so that it can be more clearly outlined what the objectives are.
That's great for the audit committee. This is an urgent matter for us now, colleagues. Have you not been getting the same level of pressure from individuals regarding this piece? So we need something to happen because we needed information like a month ago on this piece of it. So from what you've done in the last 18 months for us, do you think an investigation at this point would be something that could get you going at this moment? I mean, you still can do those other things, but
Yes, if the board would like to vote to dedicate resources towards that as an investigation right now in between the audit committee meeting, that would be helpful.
okay. Can I ask for a friendly amendment to your motion? It was your motion.
It was actually yours.
Oh, was it? Never mind. I thought you did it first. Okay, so I would like to amend my motion to include with the audit plan an investigation into the flock cameras.
Second.
You don't have to say it.
Oh, what, second?
No. Thank you. Okay, so now you have like actual direction from us.
There you
Okay.
go.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith, in that, would you be able to share, I would want to know the resources that you would need?
Yes.
Like, let us know what that looks like, and then also in that same vein, with the plan that was submitted to the audit committee, it also didn't have the piece around looking into the supplementals that we had also talked about in there. With that, would you need, or would you feel more comfortable with the board giving you that directive as well? Because I know it was something we talked about at the audit committee, but it was not part of the audit plan that you had presented to the audit committee that then showed up here.
That is one of the primary recommendations for the Agile audit, which is on the audit plan as it is. And so I would prefer that to go through the audit committee, because for that, I want to make sure that those objectives are more clearly outlined, and I want to make sure that that gets for room for discussion, and that then can go to the board for that final project hours.
Understandable.
But so that would be my recommendation to the board.
Thank you.
But yes.
When's the next audit committee meeting?
Say that again?
The next meeting?
Yes, the next audit committee meeting is July 28th. It happens at 5:30. It's usually a full hour and a half. So we look forward to seeing all the potential board members or community members there as well.
So with that one, in the August meeting, you can come back to us with his request,
Yes.
talk about on that one. Okay, that
Yes, there will be a specific resolution which will then replace the Agile audit. The Agile audit is specifically left open because we have received different recommendations either from the board, management, and so those will be then formally discussed to say, hey, these dedicated group of hours, we have limited resources as people, and so we want to make sure that we are utilizing them to most effectively serve the district.
Okay.
So, yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Isn't this for a vote?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Great question.
Oh, yeah.
So with, yeah.
The question before the board, I think, was a motion to amend the original motion.
Was to put the audit, to amend the audit plan that
So-
we're voting on, but then also giving her the authority to use the resources to go and look into the flock camera data.
So is this all one motion? All the same?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Can I actually recommend that it's two motions, only because we have investigation hours already outlined, so the actual plan would not need to be amended, but the actual investigation being a board directive would be very helpful to ensure that I'm able to collect data effectively.
We'll just take care of the motion, move it on, and then do a second motion.
Sorry.
I
Thank you.
remove my amendment
Thank
to
you.
my own motion.
Got confusing, Madam Treasurer.
Yeah, you understand?
It's just the audit plan, and then internal auditor requested that the second piece that was the amendment is actually be a separate
Separate
vote.
vote. Okay, so now for the audit plan.
Yes.
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses. So
I move that we have a investigation by the internal auditor for the flock camera system.
Second.
Good one.
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
All right. New business, internal auditor's contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns?
No, just thank you, Ms. Hamilton, for all your work, and excited you're still going to be here at DPS.
Thank you for your patience. All right.
And your husbands.
Dr. Goodwin.
I want to thank the internal auditor for her work here. I do want this board to keep this level of generosity with other employees as well as we move forward, who are doing really good work here that we don't really necessarily see in that piece of it. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right. Madam Treasurer.
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
All right, resolution on this.
So it's not,
So moved.
it's not opening.
It is open.
I need to refresh.
It's
Did you
not opening
refresh
for
your
me
screen?
either. I refreshed, it didn't open up for me either.
Didn't work for me.
It did?
It's right there. It's 3 things on here. NSBA, cube for 2 members.
No,
council
you looking
members.
at B, you looking
Oh,
at
my
B.
bad.
See?
I'm at C.
Yeah. You got B before C.
Well, we did get an email saying it was removed.
Well, he said board travel, so that's what,
You say board travel or the?
he
No.
just said board travel.
Who did?
You didn't say board travel?
No,
Oh,
ma'am.
never mind.
I'm hearing stuff.
Well, we can talk about it. What we doing? We doing a property tax, no levy, or income tax?
Yeah, so I know that Superintendent and Madam Treasurer had sent the communication regarding pulling it. But I had asked basically to poll the board. My recommendation is for the board to go at an income tax levy over a property tax levy.
Recommendation or a motion?
My motion is for the board to go income tax.
Second.
I agree with that as well. Everybody's in the buy-in with that, so that's all.
I had a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Hewitt, did we look into whether or not we could do a combination of property and income?
Legal is here, but
My name's Kim Stanek. I'm with FPT Gibbons. Apologies for Emmett and all my other colleagues were unable, so you get the B team today. But no, that is correct. The income tax levy procedure is a separate and distinct process as opposed to going for a property tax, either operating or permanent improvement levy.
So you can't do them together?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Either or. Any other questions or concerns? No?
I mean, you're asking questions about what? Because I don't have anything in front of me. Do we have to have, don't we have to have particular language? Or are we just trying to find?
Yeah, I think my motion was more so establishing that we're going to do an income tax and then
Or property
allowing,
tax, right.
yeah, allowing the treasurer to bring back next
Just
week,
wanna vote on it next week.
Yeah,
and then
to bring back the
just give
resolution
her that
next week
instru-
for
give her
income
that
tax.
Instruction to bring us the language back.
I think they should
Currently,
just
there's
do
no
it.
language in front of us, so to vote on.
Do y'all trust the treasurer to get the correct language, or do y'all not? 'Cause at this point today is July 14th, and y'all know they need to send it off to come back.
So right now, what we're trying to figure out is, are we going to do income
He
or?
put a, I'm about to say, he put a motion out, and I second it, so that one gotta be voted down first, for income tax.
Well, rather than.
It's just a
vote
motion.
and vote it down. Okay.
But the question is, do you guys wanna see the actual document we voted on?
My thing is, I want to see that, because then,
Oh, she said refresh.
Ms.
because you want to
Kidd?
know what's it for.
Take a couple minutes to read it.
Mr. Walker said he want to read. Say give him time. Board that second.
I'm about to say, Dr. Bailey, we could just wait till we come back from exec for it.
That's fine.
He has to remove his motion.
So I'll withdraw my motion at this time.
All right. And pull it to after exec, and we'll move on to board members' travel.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or concerns?
What's this about? Okay.
Madam
President
Treasurer?
Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes?
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Walker.
Yes.
7 yeses.
I should put it up there.
All right. Pursuant to Section 121.22G2 of the Ohio Revised Code, I move that this board go into executive session. This meeting is being held to consider the appointment, employment, and/or dismissal of a public employee.
Second.
President Bailey,
Yes.
Mr. Lacy,
Yes.
Ms. Garrison,
Yes.
Dr. Goodwin,
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt,
Yes.
Mr. Smith, Mr. Smith, Mr. Walker, Mr. Walker,
Yes.
You and Martin.